Misha, thank you so much for being with us on Dastaangoi Editions with Coke Studio. I'm really excited to having you on again. And before we start, one, I wanted to just thank you and then showcase the resilience that is Meesha Shafi, who came on Dastaangoi after like a 24-hour flight from Toronto to Karachi, when all of this was happening, and came and shared a story like that. That's just, that just shows the kind of person that you are, and I just really appreciate that. And I just wanted to tell people that if you haven't seen the interview, please do see that on YouTube. And just if you could talk a little bit about that whole journey, because if I'm not mistaken, you came for the Coke Studio stuff that you're doing and the other stuff that you've been doing as well, right?
Exactly, exactly. That is what I had just landed when, the first time I was on Dastaangoi, as Ahmad was saying. मैं पूरा ग्लोब क्रॉस करके अभी बिल्कुल उतरी थी कराची, और यही सारा काम करने के लिए मैं आई थी. एंड आई वॉज सो जेट लैग, टोटली जोंक्ड. मैंने कुछ दिन अपने प्लान किए थे कि मैं पहुंच के 3-4 दिन जो हैं वो अपने आप को दूंगी, just to sort of like,
Relax, yeah.
reset my timing and rest, so that because I knew कि ये सारा काम जो है वो मुझे ऐसे ऐसे back to back करना है. But I had also committed, and I'm really glad I ended up doing it, because in a way I feel like I'm not for, like my way of resting is very unconventional. मैं जब जब काम हो रहा होता है तो बस फिर उसके बाद
One
धड़ाधड़
after the other,
जिसको
exactly.
कहते हैं ना,
Dhada dhar,
one
exactly.
after the other. I thrive in, I thrive in that kind of momentum.
I love that.
So it was good. It was good.
Misha, what I'd like to start off with is kind of your evolution of the relationship that you've had with Coke Studio, which is like a ridiculous, song after जो ये जो
Yeah.
धड़ा धड़ हर दफा जब भी आप आई हैं, जुगनी, चोरी चोरी, दश्त तन्हाई, some of my favorites, right? Like these are all anthems that you created one after the other, with
Thank
Coke
you.
Studio, and you've seen the
Thank you.
evolution, right, of how
Thank
Coke
you.
Studio as a platform has evolved. And what I'd like to kind of hear a little bit about is, in your
Yeah.
eyes, how it's evolved as a platform. And then if you could touch upon how that evolution has affected you and how you as a person have evolved because of that.
um, मुझे बहुत बहुत कुछ, मतलब बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिला है. Over the relationship and the connection I have had with Coke Studio. It's been a very mutually beneficial, um, क्या कहेंगे,
Yeah.
रिलेशनशिप ही कहेंगे, I guess. एसोसिएशन से आगे चला गया है, because some of the work that I did, एक तो it changed my life. It really changed my life. I came for the first time on Coke Studio in season 3.
Yeah.
I was at that time in an underground sort of niche band, and I was just, like happily doing my thing. और मुझे रुहेल का फोन आया, and at that time 2 seasons हो चुके थे Coke Studio के, and everybody knew, it was kind of buzzing कि, ये एक, like awesome new show है. It was being received very well. um, and then Ruhail needs no introduction. So when he called me, uh, I was just like, oh, okay, this is amazing. Like I hadn't done anything. I hadn't done anything mainstream, musically. So it introduced me.
Yep.
And it introduced me, yeah, because like, it projected me into the limelight in a huge big way. Or on top of that, like even if everything that followed had not happened, it would have given me a really, really great debut. However, when Jugni came out, which is actually called Alif Allah, but
Yeah.
like we can call it Jugni. When that came out, it was, I think it's safe to say, it was unprecedented, completely
Mm.
unprecedented. What happened after that? Matlab, I couldn't have imagined that. It was just it was just like a global phenomena type of thing. People just went nuts. गोरे भी सुन रहे हैं और देसी भी सुन रहे हैं, और मतलब Germans भी सुन रहे हैं मतलब in India में तो और ही so it was just like it was nuts and I feel like वहां से एक जो connection और एक relationship मेरी और Coke Studio की बनी I'm sure a lot of artists share uh, a lot of
Similar.
memories and life-changing experiences with the platform but for me because of what happened with Jugni and what it kind of like turned into like a life changing and course altering event for Pakistani music also it wouldn't be saying too much to put it that way मेरे लिए तो life changing था I think Coke Studio के लिए भी game changer था वो गाना
Because
because it
subsequently,
really
because it
it
subsequently like
really kind of
it expanded it
sorry
everywhere, right? It expanded it all over the globe, basically, which is exactly what you were saying, with people everywhere kind of listening to it and seeing that.
yeah
So that was, and it's still like one of my favorite songs to date, Jugni and
thank
Arif
you
Lohar. Like I still
yeah
remember watching Arif Lohar growing up with his
yeah
chimtas, and
same
I never really understood it, right? Like what TV pe aate the, and you'd see him kind of playing that, and for me that was also the epitome of Coke Studio, with the whole East West kind of like different fusion kind of coming together, where like
बिल्कुल
majority लोगों को like चिमटा देखते हैं, like folk किस्म के चिमटे देखते हैं, you'd be put off, like not put off, but like you'd question it a little bit. But then it's such a powerful song, and the depth of, I think that was also one of the first times where I started looking at the lyrics, because Coke Studio does this beautiful thing where they translate the
yeah
lyrics and they put that,
yeah
and I think that's so
yeah
important, and I think that
yeah I
also
absolutely
really brings the people from the globe to see it, because it
huh.
really showcases the art of
The
the
poetry
poetry. Yes, the
yeah
poetry,
yeah
and it's just so beautiful. और अगर हम अब उसके ऊपर से जाते हैं, I'd be very curious to kind of understand, because you're speaking about how big of an amplification, and how important it was for you as a moment, starting off with this song and your relationship subsequently. What did you learn about yourself as a person, as a human, as a woman, um, from that experience? And then we'll kind of continue on to today and this song.
um what did I learn about myself well I learned right after when it kind of just like exploded onto the scene I learned um that I am the first thing I realized after that happened was that I am way more sensitive than I realize because it just kind of like thrust me into the limelight and and nothing can prepare you for that nothing can prepare you for that and उसमें बहुत सारा प्यार बहुत सारा मतलब बहुत बहुत ज़्यादा appreciation और वो सारा कुछ और वो but when you come into the eyes of millions and millions and millions so there is also you know all sorts of like nutty people out there as well and with the internet like you know anybody gets to say anything so the first thing I realized at that time was the value of developing a thick skin and that's been like you know a very very useful lesson to have learned early on in you know starting my life in the public eye I guess um, about myself yeah I
And that,
really really kind of realized at that time that I had never thought that I'm sensitive I always thought I was kind of like you know strong and tough but strong and tough and sensitive don't have to be mutually exclusive
yeah,
anyway and that's I think a very big realization and also a very useful one that that whole experience sort of gave me
I love that, because also जब मैं, like I was, when I was reading the first press release that Rohel Hayat gave, where he spoke about how, like, sometimes people just listen to a song and are like, okay, this is a good song, ये अच्छा लग रहा है मुझे, ये नहीं अच्छा लग रहा. लोग ज़्यादातर देखते नहीं कि गाने के अंदर जाता कितना काम है. The
yeah
production value, the
yeah
artist, the writers, every single thing that kind of goes in, and people will just be like, yes, this is good, no, this is not. It kind of takes
mm,
away from जो art जो जो एक साथ
yeah
लेकर आती है सब लोगों को, right?
yeah
And
yeah
what really intrigued me, and I'd love to kind of get your experience as well in Coke Studio 2020 for in particular, would be how this whole kind of how did ना टूटिया वे come together, क्योंकि अब आप देखें कि पूरी दुनिया में क्या हो रहा है, लोग लॉकडाउन
Yeah.
है, कनाडा में अभी तक लोग जा नहीं सक रहे, आ नहीं
Yeah.
सक रहे कहीं से, कराची में,
Mm.
लाहौर, इस्लामाबाद में, मैं इस्लामाबाद में था at that point. I'm actually,
Yeah.
yeah, Islamabad mein tha at that point. So
Uh,
there's like this whole thing happening around the world, right? And yet we're coming together. We're coming together to create this music. We're coming
yeah.
together to create this art. How was that experience, and how did the song kind of come together for you?
I mean, the vision came from Rohil. And it's amazing how he kind of how he what's the word um, I think the word is alchemy, honestly.
With the
That's
stuff he does,
yeah.
I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah. He's an alchemist. He's an alchemist completely, because it was a catchy song with a nice, like, promising hook. Um, अच्छा groove था, ये था, वो था, और लेकिन एक romantic lament का गाना था, and usko karte, like, I think because I was doing the song, I think this is just my sort of like guesswork. um but mujhe lagta hai he just might have, thought ke she she is that whole thing that we were talking about just now, sensitivity and strength together. And he just like he had the lyrics rewritten and completely changed the meaning of the song. To begin with, it was mera dil tutda ve, tutda ve, right?
Keeps
Like, my
breaking. Yeah.
heart breaks and it keeps breaking, and we hear that, hi bichari narrative so much. But because I was singing the song, I think it just wasn't sitting right with him. He's like, she is not a bichari. She is, like, whatever. I mean, I don't know what I am, but like, I am a bit of a complex sort of um mix of things. Yeah, so, like, I think dil nahi maan raha tha shayad, कि मतलब, हाय मैं बेचारी, मेरा दिल टूट गया, ये like authentic नहीं लग रहा था.
Also, like, I mean, I just want to add, I don't know if this is true at all, but like, also the, like, puri dunya mein, you can't say bichari, like, women empowerment is so true. Like, it's a
Yeah, लेकिन
theme that we
हमें 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 हमारी कॉम को ये एक्टिवली फीड किया जाता है, ये नैरेटिव
yeah,
फीड किया जाता है. इट्स नॉट इवन, मैं ये भी नहीं कहूंगी कि ये हैं ही ऐसे. ये एक एक्टिवली, प्रोएक्टिवली ये नैरेटिव जो है, इसको एंडोर्स किया जाता है, लाइक इन आवर टेलीविजन scripts that you see. It's becoming
completely
more and more about yeah, like just जुल्म और सितम और उसको सहना जो है, वो ही ग्रेस और पायटी और उसकी, like
yeah,
all the virtuous attributes वो आते हैं बर्दाश्त करने में, इनजस्टिस को बर्दाश्त करने में. और जो बेचारे, लाइक, आपने बेचारियों को रोमांटिसाइज कर दिया, राइट? You're
completely agree.
basically, that's what you're doing.
And
So
that's a
वो
very strong message that keeps getting
yeah,
put
yeah,
on people, and
it's
it
highly
conditions people.
problematic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So इस गाने में मेरा खड़े होके उस तरह का गाना गाना जिसमें कि आप रोमांटिसाइज कर रहे हैं कि हाँ, मेरे साथ ये होता है, मेरे साथ वो होता है, लेकिन मैं फिर भी लगी हुई हूँ.
The lyric of like my heart suffers but does not break, I think
Yeah,
is beautiful.
yeah,
And you continue on that, and in the chorus, what I'd also want to hear about is, the song that you were supposed to do being sung by every single
yeah.
one of the female
Of course,
artists.
of
That
course,
is
of
huge.
course. Yeah,
That is
yeah,
so beautiful, and it
yeah.
just
It is.
it really kind of puts more power
Yeah,
to the song itself.
yeah,
How did
yeah.
that idea kind of come about?
Rohel, 100%, 100%. Um, he said, I'm going to get everyone on the season, all the women, to sing this in unison, and uh, and it was just a beautiful, brilliant idea, and I loved it. It actually made me very, very emotional because um, that's a lot of solidarity as well.
Yeah,
And um, I felt very insulated because of it, in a lovely protected way. And that's what strength in numbers means, right? That's
completely.
what it does. That's what it does. Together we are stronger, together we are safer. So ये एक साथ सारों को, और फिर अलग अलग रिकॉर्ड, क्योंकि कोविड फॉर्मेट भी हो रहा था, उसकी वजह से मेरे लिए जब जब ये गाना फिर एडिट होके रिलीज हुआ है, that was the first time I saw it. सब
Oh wow, really?
everybody together, सब जुड़े हुए, या तो
But this was being recorded in Karachi, though, right?
हाँ, बिल्कुल.
Wow. Like,
Yeah, but
see,
nobody was, I mean, like, there was nobody else there when I went.
that's the beauty. Like, see, there's just so many things about this season that, like, you know, like, because Coke Studio, you think like sab ikhatte hote hain, like jamming ho rahi hai, but then this is all coming together in COVID season, you know, where
Yeah.
everyone is social distancing, where you want to be safe, and you're putting all of this together. It's amazing to hear like how, you know, this was all put together. It's just beautiful to
A
see.
visionary.
Yeah,
It's a visionary thing, and it's a huge undertaking. It's a beautiful, beautiful intention. It's for everyone's safety. It also endorses and says and shows to the world that, you know, like, अगर इतना बड़ा शो इस तरह से अपने आप को रीएडजस्ट करके एक रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर्मेट अडॉप्ट कर सकता है, which is no small thing. It's not a small thing at all. You know, गाने पे आपके 10 लोग काम कर रहे हैं और वो हैं ही नहीं एक साथ एक वक्त में. So it's a salute to tech, to the tech possibilities, to the digital age, to to Rohel's vision, and then, you know, like, thinking of it and then pulling it off.
it's incredible. Honestly, it's a huge
The
feat.
way our yeah, it is, it's the way our voices have been mixed together is also just amazing, because it's just sounding so harmonious. And that's the other thing, other than resilience, that Na Tutteya Ve is talking about. It's talking about harmony. That's the key word. You know, we have to be in harmony
Yeah.
with each other. So it's a very, very special song, and I'm also really impressed. I really, really feel like uh, credit needs to be given to the fact that the season opened with it, with
Completely.
such a strong, yeah,
And it
statement.
showcases
It's
exactly the statement. Yeah.
yeah.
Misha, I'd also be
Yeah.
curious to kind of hear your thoughts around, you've never done rap before. Have
No.
you rapped before? I have not
I
known Misha
mean,
as a rapper.
sure. I have known that Meesha is a rapper, but no, I haven't rapped before उस तरह से, इस तरह से. अब तो देख लिया सबने. And Punjabi never. Punjabi never. Faris and I used to, you know, when we were kids, we used to. So hip hop and rap has been a huge part of my
Yeah.
life. Huge part of my life. I have quite a diverse, like, sort of palette for listening to music, and it has been a lot, you know, like a long term part of my listening. तो मैं जब छोटी थी, my brother and I, my younger brother and I, we used to uh, do a lot of freestyle rap battles.
What?
And yeah, we used to do that. And obviously that's why I was saying, like, you know, nobody knows this, but if that counts as rapping, which it kind of obviously does, then yes, the answer is yes, I do rap. I had just never really thought that I would include it into my, like, professional portfolio. My brother went on to do that. He is a very, very, very brilliant, very, very dearly loved, and very acclaimed rapper and poet. So when Rohel asked me, he's like, you know, by the way, do you rap? I was like, you know, and I was amazed. I was amazed at the nonchalance of his question also, because he didn't even say, would you be interested in rapping, or can you rap? No, he was just like, do you rap? And I loved that. I loved that it was so casual, and like, you know, like, it kind of made me feel like he really believes I can do anything.
I love
and
that.
and I was like, I was like, yes, Yes, I do. And I thought to myself, oh my God, how does he know?
The
How does
moment
he
that
know? I've
the
literally
hidden
never
Meesha
told
comes online
anyone.
now.
So I was like, like, how does he know this? I got a little like, lekin maine foreign yes ka, and then the next thing I did was called my brother. I was like, listen, bro, I'm rapping
You
on
got
Coke
competition now.
Studio.
You got competition now,
You got
basically.
competition. I beat you. I beat you to Coke Studio. Um, no, that's not why I was calling him. I was calling him because I asked him to coach me because he's the one with the chops. He's like he's next level. So so I asked him to coach me, and he did, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without him. No
Wow.
chance. No
Wow.
chance.
I love that.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Misha, if we go on and talk a little bit about the macro of how this year has played out um, with COVID, I'd love to kind of understand, have you thought about, or have you, it's been a season of self-reflection for all of us in
Mm.
one way, shape,
Yeah.
or form, right? We have all
Mm.
evolved. We are all different from who we were going into the beginning of this year. We did not expect kya hoga. We did not expect how we would kind of interpret the situation and how we would come out of it. I'd love to kind of hear a little bit about you, because I know in Dastango you mentioned that you found like your Ustad
Yeah.
recently as well, and how you've
Yeah.
kind of evolved evolved musically and
Yeah.
as a person
Mm.
with the move as well to Canada.
Yeah.
How do you see, or have you considered the idea of reinventing oneself with what's happened over the year, in the context of COVID, in the context of what have been some of the learnings that you've had over the course of the year?
So the season of change and season of self reflection, like you said, मेरी जिंदगी में तो season of self reflection exactly 3 साल पहले शुरू हुआ था. And by the time this pandemic happened this year, I was already so socially distant. I was already in isolation. I had already been like almost exclusively self reflecting for the past 3 years. That I welcomed this. Like I had already sort of like taken myself apart and started putting myself back together prior to this. That's just where I was personally in my life. And I had gone through like massive, my life and myself were going through massive, massive shifts, both physical and emotional and spiritual and, artistic. हर तरह से, हर तरह से. So I feel like in a way that kind of that made it easier for me to appreciate this year for what it's trying to teach us. And I wasn't so resistant to it. I wasn't
That's
so resistant to it. My first my first sort of like emotional response to uh, to what was happening was not that of gloom and doom. I also rather appreciated that the world. I felt like the world has come down to my base and my energy. तो मुझे अच्छा लगा कि अच्छा सारा कुछ स्लो डाउन कर गया है. एक 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 sort of like एक तरह से रिकूपरेशन, एक टाइम आउट और रिफ्लेक्शन, जो कि बहुत ज़रूरी है और आसान नहीं होती.
और पूरी
आसान नहीं
दुनिया को
होती.
दी गई है.
वो सबको या सबको मतलब मजबूर कर दिया गया है. कुदरत ने मजबूर कर दिया है कि आप इसको एक अपॉर्चुनिटी दी गई है. आप मजबूर हैज लाइक नेगेटिव sort of connotations as well, लेकिन इसको अपॉर्चुनिटी कहूंगी मैं.
You know, I love the way you speak about that, because it truly, shows the personality and the person that you are. Because हम हमारे अंदर क्या मसला, like as a human humanity में ज़्यादातर हम चाहते हैं कि हर चीज़ को control करना.
Hmm.
And sometimes, life, the earth, world, who you name it, spins
Yeah.
the dice, and
Yeah.
you're in a situation where you could never have thought of this, you could never
Yeah.
control this, and
Yeah.
yet the only thing that you can control is how you perceive it. And जो आपने
Yeah.
बात बिल्कुल ठीक
That's
कही कि हम इसको कैसे देखेंगे, इसके साथ आगे कैसे बढ़ेंगे,
mm,
how will we kind of,
mm,
come out of this, or just,
mm.
if the world is telling you something, listen. Take the time to listen
Yeah.
and go deeper
Yeah.
inside you, and
Yeah.
you come out better because,
Yeah.
things do go on. Kal
Yeah.
inshallah aayegi aayegi, lekin
Yeah.
be here today to appreciate the lessons that the world is kind of giving you. And I think that that's such an important
Yeah.
thing. And the way that you look at
Yeah.
it is just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. That is a very big lesson that and something that I had to learn. I mean, like everybody learns at different points in their life. Challenges जो होते हैं वो आपको सरेंडर करना ही सिखाना चाह रहे होते हैं.
Yeah,
That's what the main takeaway from any challenge is. कि जब आप when you dive into it and try to control it and play tug of war with a problem, um, you're just going to get more pushback. And letting go is going to liberate you. It's going to liberate you completely. So in a safe, harmonious way, what's wrong with sitting at home and spending a year of your life, like in the big picture, it's not the end of the world. It's a time to spend more time and reestablish connections with the people
exactly.
we
To reflect.
are close to.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're getting to basically step out of the daily grind and just take a sigh of relief and be like, okay, so this is what it feels like to pause. Because I feel like in today's world, it's just go, 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 go. So I really liked it कि सारा कुछ थम गया है. मुझे
Completely.
अच्छा लगा. I liked it. I think it was also very conducive to creative people and for their creativity. Um, because that kind of hyper productive capitalist pace is uh, like it doesn't kind of let ideas flourish.
On that point, also, like, the idea of, for creatives to now have a forceful way of looking to look outside the box
Yeah.
and start to experiment with new ideas. Dastaangoi came
Yeah.
from it. Coke Studio
Yeah.
2020
There
is an
you go.
example of it.
There you go.
All of these different things have come from this.
Yeah.
So it's that perception really
Yeah.
kind of, changes the way you everything kind of happens around you. And I
बिल्कुल.
really am a huge believer in चीज़ों में. um
हाँ.
Misha, आपसे आखिरी सवाल would be, what are some of the most cherished memories that you have of Pakistan growing up? बचपन की यादें जो आपको जो ना,
Ooh,
like कनाडा बैठे हुए भी कभी भी बाहर देखते हुए सूरज ढलते हुए, takes you
yeah.
back
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
to those moments in Pakistan.
Um, the marketplaces, the street food, the smells and the sounds, uh, सारी मतलब सारी जो वहाँ की night life है, the street out on the streets at night, it's not like that in a lot of countries.
Yeah.
There are only some special, like जिन जगहों की बुड्ढी रूह होती है ना, उन जगहों पे आपको एक 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 फीलिंग आती है जब आप रात को निकलते हैं. वो मुझे बड़ी याद आती है ना, समोसे तल रहे हैं और वो बन रहा है, क्या कहते हैं, तवे पे टकाटक बन रहा
टकाटक
है, और
टकाटक बन
हाँ
रहा है.
टकाटक बन रहा है और रेडी वाले सब्जियां बेच रहे हैं. एंड जस्ट all of that to me is the Pakistan of my childhood that I
Mm,
really really like, where the small businesses are literally out on the road, and I feel like that charm, and also, like, it's largely about food.
मेरा
So
मेरा होता था कि रात को जाना है लाहौर में, निकलना है बेनज़ीर का कुल्फ़ा खाना है, like
हाँ,
that is the कुल्फ़ा और
that's
फालूदा,
your
that's my go to.
ritual.
Yeah, I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I'm a huge foodie. I'm a huge foodie, and desi food is my number one first love. मतलब कुछ भी जितना भी फैंसी फाइन डाइनिंग, जो भी मुल्क, फ्रांस, पेरिस, ये वो, इटली, जहाँ मर्जी आप ले जाएं, 1 से 2 दिन के बाद मुझे कढ़ाई चाहिए होती है. Like I need तड़काज.
I
I
love it.
need, yeah, for sure. So of course I miss that. I miss that, and I also miss that you can get up at any time and go, and there'll be 100 people who you can go and hang out with.
Yeah.
बाहर के मुल्कों में कुछ थोड़ा सा लाइक मगरिब के बाद बिल्कुल ऑफ हो जाता है सीन. So I really like that. We are just like relentless in our appetite for both food and fun and company.
I love
Yeah.
it. Misha,
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking out the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.